Your reputation is built word by word. One misplaced comment, one improper tone, and valuable opportunities can disappear forever. How did a young apprentice transform his communication into a key to success? Discover it now.
Refine your professional communication. Avoid overly informal language or depreciating remarks. Remember that every word builds your reputation in the marketplace, attracting partners who share the same vision and who will become part of your circle of influence. Do not drive away, through an inadequate posture, the opportunities and investors who seek excellence and professionalism. High performance also reveals itself through the clarity and respect that originate from you. This message is more than advice, it is the story of a young man who learned, in practice, how language can open doors or close them forever. Listen now as Apollo tells us this journey of growth and wisdom.
Ricardo was 30 years old, a psychological frontier where the enthusiasm of youth begins to demand the weight of authority. He lived in that uncomfortable gap between possessing a brilliant vision and lacking the code required to transmit it. Working in the organization of Dom Enrique, a titan of beverage distribution and luxury wine cellars, was like walking through a living museum of etiquette and protocols. There, the clink of a crystal glass had a specific tone, and the silence of a negotiation was worth more than 1,000 empty promises. Ricardo, a management technician with solid religious grounding that gave him unshakable ethics, yet a latent shyness, wanted to break the inertia of traditionalism. He saw what the veterans, blinded by past success, ignored. The market was changing. The modern consumer was no longer seeking only the label of an award-winning wine, he was seeking the gourmet convenience experience. Ricardo's idea was bold, to introduce a line of premium international snacks. He envisioned authentic Mexican tacos with traditional corn in a new format, carefully packaged artisanal burritos, Argentine empanadas with dough that melted into golden layers, and Italian cornetti perfuming the air with butter and history. If we offer the perfect pairing to the nectar, we won't just sell bottles, we will sell moments, he murmured as he walked through the cellar aisles, breathing in the scent of oak and thyme. But in the real market, ideas are worthless if they are not bought by decision-makers. To Dom Enrique's board, Ricardo was still the kid, an heir to tasks, not to trust. And Dom Enrique himself, with his contained thunder voice and eyes that seemed to calculate the ROI of every breath, was the highest wall to climb. Business is structure, Ricardo. It is not a laboratory for exotic flavors, the master would say. The day of the proposal presentation became the turning point, but not as Ricardo expected. He brought everything, the product, the passion, and the slides. Yet he forgot that communication is the packaging of intellect. Overtaken by nervousness, Ricardo regressed into a vocabulary of scarcity. He used slang that echoed like noise inside a symphony. He interrupted directors with a casual "so like," and when questioned about production logistics, he committed the fatal error of informality. We'll figure that out. The concept is what really matters, you know." The silence that followed was glacial. Dom Enrique, whose hands rested on the table like the talons of an ancient eagle, closed his leather folder. The snap of the clasp sounded like a verdict. "Ricardo, you are asking for the company's capital, the company's logistics, and the reputation I took 40 years to build. This is not a college barbecue. If you cannot articulate risk with the precision of a surgeon, you are not ready for the scalpel. Come back when you learn that clarity is the courtesy of masters." The humiliation was educational. That night, Ricardo did not look for scapegoats, he looked in the mirror. Reviewing the meeting recording, a habit of self-criticism he had decided to adopt, he realized his body language screamed insecurity while his words begged for approval. He understood a brutal market truth. Technical competence gets you in the room, but professional communication allows you to sit at the main table. He plunged into a process of metamorphosis. He devoured rhetoric treatises, studied color psychology in presentations, and hired a speaking mentor who spared him no criticism. Ricardo learned that every word either builds or destroys a brick of your reputation. He replaced vague and often crude vocabulary with precise terminology. "I think" gave way to "the data indicates." "We'll figure it out" was buried under operational contingency strategy. He understood that respect is not imposed, it is extracted through vocal control and the solidity of argument. 3 months later, he requested a new hearing. The atmosphere was skeptical. Ricardo entered the room no longer as the family kid, but as a visionary executive. His spine was straight, his chin parallel to the floor, and his eye contact evenly distributed. He did not begin by talking about food. He began with the market. Dom Enrique, gentlemen, based on sector research, we are facing a 12% contraction in beverage consumption among those born between 1981 and 1996, the millennials, and also among Generation Z, born between 1995 and 2010. These declines have been offset by a 28% increase in integrated gastronomic experiences. What I present today is not a snack. It is the bridge to the sustainability of our profit margin over the next decade. The presentation was a masterclass in high performance. He anticipated objections before they were raised. He demonstrated the break-even point with clarity that made rejection a logical mistake. When he finished, there was no slang, no filler, only the echo of authority. Dom Enrique leaned forward. An almost imperceptible smile appeared. Now, Ricardo, I heard what you said, because you spoke the language of business. The idea was always good, but today the man presenting it is as well. You have 3 months of testing. The helm is in your hands. The success was overwhelming. Within 6 months, Dom Enrique's sellers became reference points. Revenue rose, but for Ricardo the greatest victory was the change in his circle of influence. He was no longer the young man asking permission, he was the leader proposing paths. Years later, now a partner in the expansion, Ricardo watched a new group of interns. He saw in them the same spark in the eyes, and the same flaw in the tongue he once had. He approached them and delivered his final lesson. Excellence is not an isolated act, it is a habit of communication. In the market, your voice is your most valuable business card. Do not waste opportunities out of laziness in refining what comes out of your mouth. Every sentence is a seed of trust. If you care for the garden of words, the orchard of success will be inevitable. Ricardo knew Dom Enrique had been right. The market does not forgive amateurism, but it crowns those who master the art of turning thought into impact through words, symbols, and representation. The apprentice had finally become the master of his own destiny.
Ricardo's journey reveals a naked truth. Wisdom is not a trophy to be stored, it is an echo meant to spread. What we do builds the stage, but how we communicate defines whether we become the protagonist or merely noise in the story. The Bible, that millennial compass of humanity, offers us 3 golden keys to master this art. Imagine the word as a force of nature. In Proverbs 15 verse 1, we are taught that a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs anger. Ricardo felt the weight of that harshness firsthand. When he reacted with careless slang or arrogant improvisation, he only fueled the prejudice of his superiors. But when he softened the tone and elevated the content, he did more than lower Dom Enrique's guard, he disarmed entire armies of doubt. Kindness is not weakness. It is the most sophisticated strategy of those who know that doors open with keys, not hammers. Following this path of light, we find in Ephesians 4 verse 29 a command for construction. Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but only what is good for edification. What Ricardo once called his way of speaking was actually the constant demolition of his own image. In the market, as in life, vulgar or depreciating words act like termites inside a structure of trust. When he cleansed his vocabulary and began to use speech to build, to propose, to structure, to inspire, he did more than gain authority. He became the foundation upon which the company's innovation was built. Finally, we must look at the danger we carry between our teeth. In James 3 verses 5 to 6, the warning is severe, the tongue is a fire capable of corrupting the whole body. Like a spark in dry straw, a careless comment or improper tone can reduce decades of effort to ashes in seconds. Ricardo saw his bridges burn in the first meeting. But he had the humility to understand that this same fire, when disciplined by oratory, stops being destruction and becomes illumination. The word is the breath that gives life to our projects, or the wind that extinguishes them. Now Apollo invites us to go even deeper. How can you transform this ancient wisdom into daily practice? The answer is in the next message.
Many times we believe success is an external event, a door opened by luck or a number appearing on a spreadsheet. But Ricardo's journey forces us to look inward, into the sacred and often neglected territory of our own voice. Ricardo did not merely change his vocabulary, he underwent a transformation of character, a renewal of mind that overflowed through his speech. He understood that the market, although driven by algorithms and numbers, is made of people, and people connect through trust. The professionalism Ricardo embraced is not a mask of rigidity or cold technical armor. It is, above all, a profound form of respect for others. When you communicate with clarity and precision, you're saying, I value your time, I honor your attention, and I respect our relationship. Opportunities do not fall from the sky for the distracted. They are magnetically attracted to those who know how to name their dreams. If this message resonated with you and touched that place of growth we all seek, help us take this content further. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you never miss our weekly reflections. Your support motivates us to keep planting these seeds of growth and wisdom. Returning to our path, understand this: a legacy is not built only on heroic acts, but on the daily coherence between what we preach and what we live. Ricardo's success with international snacks was merely the visible consequence of an invisible victory: self-mastery. As Scripture teaches, whoever governs their own tongue is capable of governing a city. Do not waste the power God placed in your mouth. Use it to build, to illuminate paths, and to open the doors your talent has already earned, but your voice still needs to claim. Remember, the master is not the one who knows everything, but the one who learned that every word is a seed. And whoever plants with respect harvests destiny. On your screen now, a video that will deepen your understanding of how communication shapes your future. Do not miss it. Explore this knowledge and let it flourish. See you soon, and remember, at Think Strong, every word is a step toward your best version.